My guest today on the podcast is Ryan Arena. He is the owner of Seaver Marketing Group, which is a retention marketing agency, as well as a few other software companies that involve the retention and marketing space. He's a longtime friend and former guest on the podcast. I'm happy to have him return and hope to have him for many more. On this episode, we talk about some of his numerous travels and we catch up a little bit because we haven't seen each other in some time. Other than that, we talk about business and building a business and some of those grind times. Hopefully you enjoy the podcast. What is up, podcast fam? We're back. Ryan, how you doing? It's been a long time. I feel like it's been a couple weeks since I've seen you.
Well, it's been a couple weeks since I've seen you. I thought you were talking about since we last did a podcast.
Well, that too.
It might literally have been like 2 years since we've done a podcast.
Yeah, longtime friend of the show, as they say.
Yeah, I'm the OG regular. I think I was in one of the first episodes. But yeah, no, it's been a minute since I've actually been back in town or seen you or anybody I know.
Yeah. It was a mix of both. You being out of town, I've been locking in. I haven't done much. Haven't seen much of anybody. Like I literally just saw some of our other friends for the first time in probably 3 or 4 weeks personally. So it's just been like a weird time frame with that. But let's focus on what are the travels you've been doing with Argentina? Like how was that? That looked cool.
That was sick. Yeah, so we started the new year off. We had the whole thing in Florida, seeing friends, and then me and my girlfriend went to Argentina for about 2.5 weeks. We did Buenos Aires for I want to say like 8 days, and that was sick. It's crazy because I've been all over South America. I haven't been that far south before, but it's crazy. All the cities in South America have like a very distinct feel to them. They feel very, if you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. But Buenos Aires feels like you just dropped like a European city in the middle of South America. They call it the Paris of South America. It has all the same architecture. A lot of people have European heritage, but it's super walkable. The food is insane. You've probably heard about all the hyperinflation and all that stuff that was going on.
Yeah, I mean that's part of why I was asking too, besides like the cool things, which we'll definitely get into, but like I was definitely curious and like with everything that has been going on there and what they're saying and yada yada, it seems though like things have been a lot better.
Well, it's better than it. I mean, I guess depends on how you look at it, because 9 months ago, everything was like 3 times cheaper. You could go there if you had perfect, like, those blue strip $100 bills.
Yeah.
Had a market just for those US bills, but they had to be perfect, like zero imperfections, no tears on them. So you could go on the street, like in the black market, and exchange it for a crazy exchange rate. And even nowadays, everyone is like walking in the street, like, cambio, like trying to like sell you some change. But it was a lot more expensive. I'd say it's more comparable to like American prices, at least with certain things. Some things are still insanely cheap. Like we got a 2-story penthouse apartment for like $400 for 8 days. That was cheap. Every Uber was like $1 or $2 US. And the higher end restaurants are still expensive, but like compared to America, it's still nothing. I mean, you could go to we went to like the nicest steakhouses and I got a full tomahawk for like $40 US.
Yeah, it's nice.
I must have ate.
We went to bourbon and steak, and it was like $250 for a tomahawk or something.
Yeah, oh yeah, and
way different.
I can get up to like 400 at most places, but the steak was as advertised, incredibly good. Alyssa was stoked on all the wine, all the Malbec. So Buenos Aires was dope. I'm definitely thinking about making that like a home base moving forward, like potentially spending like a little bit of time there. It's just far.
Yeah.
It's far, but it's like, I want to say it's 2 hours ahead of Eastern time, so it's not like nearly as bad as Europe or like Asia or something like that, but it's still like
it's funny, like you don't think about how far it is, like because you're like, oh, it's just south of us, like that's like dumb way of thinking about it, I know, but like that's the way how your mind, most people's minds work. It's like, oh, that's just south, but then it's like, no, it's like the equivalent of going all the way to like the Middle East.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, it's even further than Europe. It was about like 13 hours or so, and that's only to Buenos Aires. And then when we went down to Patagonia, we flew another 5 hours south of, like, Argentina is a massive country. Not only like height wise, but width wise, and the like, just like America, like the difference in biomes is crazy because Argentina is like low elevation on the water, kind of like marshy almost, but doesn't really feel tropical. And then the central and like western parts of Argentina are like a desert, like a straight up desert. And then you get down to Patagonia and it's like fucking like Banff, Canada, or like, Colorado or something, a lot cooler than that. But it's once I saw where we were on the map in Buenos Aires, I'm like, we have to fly 5 hours further south. I'm like, how much further south can we possibly go?
And then it gets colder as you're
It
going
gets
down.
colder, but not as much as you would think. That's what was so hard for me to understand because we were an hour from Antarctica, like an hour flight from Antarctica.
Yeah.
And it was like 50, 60 degrees, but peak summer. So it obviously gets much.
Also, and the seasons are switched too.
Yeah,
That's right.
that was the really trippy thing. So January is like July here. So that's like peak hiking, backpacking time. So everyone was out like hiking, trekking, like backpacking and stuff. But it's kind of like when you go to like Iceland or something. And that's kind of what it reminded me of, honestly, was Iceland. You go during like the 1 or 2 months, and it was crazy because the sun didn't set till like midnight either, and it rose at like 6 a.m. So we had like 18 hours of sunlight.
Wild. Wild. Yeah, I could not imagine having that much. I feel like I'd have a lot more to do with my day. Feel like I was not as productive if I went to bed.
You don't realize how much time, like from here, it gets dark so early. It makes the days feel like they go by so fast. The craziest thing was when we were in Iceland and we had 24 hours of daylight. Like your circadian rhythm doesn't matter at all because it's like inconsequential. So we would sleep until like 2 p.m. and it didn't matter. We'd be hiking waterfalls at like 3 a.m. and it's like super light outside. It was just crazy.
I guess the good thing about that is when you're traveling, you don't have to get on like a different sleep schedule. You could kind of just, I'll just do what I'm doing in America.
It was tough to sleep though. We had the blinds in the van, and we were sleeping like a camper van. It wasn't like insanely tinted, so we had like the blinds. But you know, in the blinds, they will cover like a little.
It
like
shines through.
Sunlight beaming on your face.
Yeah. Then it hits the kitchen cabinets and everything else, and just
and it's hot.
Makes the whole thing brighter. Yeah. So, okay, with Patagonia, let's dive into that just a bit. How many days did you do down there in Patagonia out of the whole trip?
3 or 4. We flew down to El Calafate, which is like the easiest airport to fly to from Buenos Aires. Funny story before that was we're in the airport. Our flight was at like 4 or 5 a.m. leaving from Buenos Aires. So we get there, we're exhausted, got like 2 hours of sleep. We get there to the gate and we see on the screen. And if you've ever flown to Europe or South America, their airports are so much more disorganized. Like they don't tell you your gate until like 20 minutes before the flight boards. So everyone's like looking up at the board waiting. So we look and see that, of course, our flight was delayed like 3 hours. We're the only person, and we still have like 2 hours left before it was supposed to take off. So we had so much time. So I'm sleeping in like a chair uncomfortably, and we look at our gate. They're not loading anything. And I get a notification on my WhatsApp, or I see someone calling me on WhatsApp, and it like wakes me up, and I'm like, oh, I don't recognize this number, whatever. And then I see a text come through on WhatsApp, and the picture of it is we're flying Bondi Airlines, and it sounds Australian, but it's not. And you just see a picture of a little plane, and they message me in Spanish. They're like, "Sir, your flight is about to take off. Like, we're waiting for you." I'm like, "What the fuck? You just said we were waiting like 3 hours."
Yeah.
So we ran over and like barely made it on in time. But I'm like, I've never had an airline like actually like the shittiest airline of all time. But they managed to text me. I felt like I was like waking up out of a dream. I felt like the airplane was talking. Did you see a picture of the airplane?
Yeah.
Sir, I'm about to leave without you.
It was a guy's personal WhatsApp that just.
Dude, is this happening right now? So that would have, and they only do one flight a week. So that would have, our trip would have not happened. Yeah. So we're like in Patagonia, and we were so happy to even be there because we were about to like miss our flight. But we got done at El Calafate, went and did the glaciers, drove, and then went up to El Chalten, which is like the dopest town ever. Have you ever seen The Alpinist on Netflix?
No, I haven't.
If you haven't, anyone listening, if you haven't seen The Alpinist, it's like one of the greatest documentaries. I think this guy's name is like Marc-Andre Leclerc or something like that. His goal was to climb all these like crazy mountains in Patagonia, and he died eventually, but he was living in this town called El Chalten. And you get there, and everyone there is like either like a professional climber or like a hardcore trekker. So you're like walking around town and you're seeing like professional mountaineers, and like, so if you're like into that kind of stuff, you're like fanboying insanely hard. So we did the Fitzroy hike, camped overnight at base camp, and then did Fitzroy, dragged Alyssa all the way.
Yeah, I would say, how'd she do on that one?
She did good, but the problem was it was pouring rain the first 4 hours. So all of our stuff's soaking wet. I'm carrying a 50-pound pack on my back. It's super well trafficked. Like there's a ton of people. So we get to camp. We finally set up camp. I'm like, fuck. Not only are we not going to make it up to Fitzroy, but the weather is going to be kind of trash. And so we took a nap at camp, and then I saw the sky start to clear up, and I'm like, oh, we're about to fucking hustle up this mountain. So she did great on the way up. Like we were so tunnel vision on making it up there that she just thugged it out. And then we got to the top and there were like 90-mile-an-hour winds. So we were getting like physically knocked over. So we have it all to ourselves, like all good and dandy. And then we start to go down. And the down part was where she was not doing so hot. Because it was like very loose and gravelly, but like when you're going up, you don't really have the perspective of what's behind you.
Yeah.
So she's going down and she sees just like how far up we came. And that was a mental
Yeah.
mental hurdle.
Scared of heights a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was like one of my first hikes I ever did, but we got to the top and I was like kind of on like not like over the edge, but like kind of on one of the slants. I remember being able to look over and kind of having a moment of like, oh my gosh, I'm like really fucking high up. But once you get used to it, you're good. It's just like that initial where you're like, fuck, this I could just die.
Well, it's
Essentially.
it's crazy that like mountaineering and climbing are like my favorite things to do out here because my biggest fear growing up was heights. Like I was terrified of heights. Like to this day, I don't even go on roller coasters. Like I won't even go on like amusement.
I don't do those either.
I'll be like, for some reason, I feel like I don't know. I guess like I'm more in control or something. But there's some moments where I like hits like you sober up a bit. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing up here? Like this is goes against all my survival instincts.
What was the one mountain that you wanted to do where you basically have to like straddle a certain
On Capitol Peak. Yeah, they call it the knife edge. And it's funny because like of the deaths that have happened, almost none of them happen on that section. But yeah, it's so narrow, like to where it comes to a perfect point. Yeah, you literally have to straddle it and climb across for like 300 feet.
I remember you telling me about that, and I was like, who would there? Like, I enjoy the outdoors, but I'm like, who would there mind doing that one?
It's like what we were talking about earlier when it's like, hey, bro, do you want to come go for a hike? You know, come.
Yeah.
It's going to be chill. And then you end up on the fucking knife's edge.
Yeah. That would be a quick way to avert your fights. Like, I'm not ever going to go with this guy again.
I think those all trails meets where it's like medium difficulty, and then you're like hanging from the side of a cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. I see those memes all the time, but I've never had that like legitimately happen yet.
Bro. Well, okay, so if you live somewhere like, I don't know, somewhere with chill hiking, like I don't know, maybe Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah.
There's not very many like it's hard, but the levels are different. You know what I mean? Where you're in Colorado, like a Colorado intermediate, it's just like skiing. You know how like a blue run in Colorado is
so it's people coming out here and they're like, oh, I can do intermediate, and then they go, yeah, this is hard.
It's all feedback based. So it's the people vote on how hard it is.
Right.
So a lot of times, like when we're doing these popular hikes, like Zion or whatever, like Alyssa will look at it and she's like, oh, it says hard. I'm like, but you have to think about the demographic of people that are reviewing this. It's tourists, people that aren't like serious hikers. So they're naturally going to overrate how hard it is.
Right.
Colorado has the opposite phenomenon where everyone here is so experienced and out of their fucking mind that you'll see a hike and it's like, they're like, oh yeah, that was intermediate. And you're like, oh, that's no big deal. Like it's intermediate. And then you get on it and you're like literally in like a life or death situation.
Yeah.
You're like, bro, this is not fucking intermediate.
Yeah. I definitely haven't experienced it yet, but I'm definitely hoping this summer we get into some more
coming on the Hawaii hike.
Yeah, I did reserve my spot for that. I think I'll be fine on that.
Yeah, I think
that's fine.
Have you seen Crawler's Ledge?
No, I haven't yet. I haven't looked at it at all. I don't know if I even want to look at it. You guys were talking about it, but I'm like, I think it's better if I just train and then just go and not think about it.
I think, again, it's one of those things where I don't think it's probably going to be that bad considering how many people do the hike.
Yeah.
I think it like is the sketchiest part, but I think it naturally gets overrated. But yeah, it's a very, very thin section along, but it's just a lot of up and down. It's really like the shittiest part is carrying your pack. You know, you got to get used to the weight.
Oh, yeah, I got to get all that gear still.
Yeah, you and Brandon both.
We'll get it.
Yeah, little Ryan, because we were supposed to do it last year. He bought all the shit and then it's just like held on to it. I'm glad he didn't sell it. But yeah, you and Brandon got to start stocking up on some gear. And we're only doing one night though, so
that's not too bad. And then it was like 10 miles, right? Each day. Sorry.
Yeah.
In total, I know
I
it's
want
like
to say
20
it's like 10 each day or something like that. And they're pretty much equivalent because of like it's not like
I'm
up and down.
pretty positive it is because I looked, because that's really my biggest difficulty is the length. Like, because my fucking flat ass feet are just so bad. Like, and by the time I hit 10 miles, like I legitimately want to kill myself. Like when we were in Glacier, that one day that we did the 12 miles, like by mile 11, I was like, get me off of this mountain. Like I no longer was like, oh, this is a nice view. I was like, get me out of here.
I never understood the down. Like, so there's people out there that genuinely think they prefer the uphill to the downhill, and I've never had knee issues, so I can't relate to that. But the only time I've ever hurt my knee was I sprained my knee like a week before we went on that glacier trail, and I was cooking uphill. And then we had that long descent
long descent
from the chalet,
Yeah.
and then my knee started hurting, and it like all fell into place. I'm like, damn, bro. If other people feel this, I'm like, this is fucking torture.
I would have rather gone back. I would have rather gone the other 8 miles.
I wish I took a video or I had a visual to show people, but we have one friend that we brought on that trip that's just not a hiker. He's not like a heights person, and we coaxed him into doing this. And you can look up the Skyline Trail in Glacier National
beautiful.
Park. You're basically like on the side of a cliff. It's not hard or sketchy, but like there's a big drop off. And so he's walking up to it. He's like, fuck, is this like what I have to hike up? Like, is it going to be like this the whole time? And I'm like, bro, don't worry. It's totally safe. 5 minutes into us walking on the trail, we see like an old lady like dangling off the side of the cliff with her friends like helping her up because I guess she like fell, and if that bush wasn't there to stop,
literally, what should have been rolling.
And I look over and Ryan's face is like goes to white. I'm like, fuck, bro, this was the worst visual he could have saw like 5 minutes into this hike.
Yeah, only another 4.5 to 6 hours to go.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I don't think he's coming. We've scarred him so many times, whether it's like music festivals or like hiking or stuff. Like he just has said yes, and then he gets in, and then it's like the worst.
Which you got to applaud the fact that he says yes and goes to these things because he's trying. But like, yeah, it's funny. He hasn't had the best experiences when he's with us in a group.
No, dude, we're kind of or in Vegas or anything. Like he's down bad a lot of the time, so he's with us.
I hope he's doing good though. I'd to see him when I go visit him.
Coaching a youth basketball team, and they'll be done.
He's really getting into his wife and husband, dad arc. Husband arc. Yeah.
He's a good.
Refound God, coaching basketball teams.
Yeah, dude. He's
married.
He's
not married yet, but
no. Yeah, I don't know when that's coming. But
figure speech.
Doing participating in legal activities.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna circle back to Glacier because I always said, out of all the hikes that we've done a few out here, and then definitely there are plenty out here in Colorado where we would have that same feeling. But Glacier was the first time where I was like, oh, we're like out here, and it just had a different feeling. Like I know there's the town not too far where you fly in and stuff, but like. Something about it was just like, yeah, no, we're way out. Like, there's nothing out here. Like,
well, that's what's cool about backpacking and stuff, because you got to think about like within a day hike, you're very limited to where you can drive to and then how far you can hike in a day.
Yeah.
But like if you get up to like the Wind Rivers, like where me, Nick, and his buddy John went up to, like, dude, that was the most remote I've ever felt because you get like you're driving from the last gas station and paved road. It's another 2.5 hours. And then you hike like 30 miles into the wilderness. So you're like looking around and it's like that eerie feeling where it's like, bro, if something happened to me, it's like there's literally nobody dying. And there's like, I don't know how many, like 800 grizzly bears that live in the area, which is like another layer that like Colorado hiking doesn't. It's funny your friend at the coffee shop was like saying that about like bringing his gun on a hike.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we have mountain lions and black bears, but like you have a higher odds getting killed by a moose than you do by either of those things. But grizzly bears are like a whole nother fucking thing. Like we woke up in the morning and we saw tracks like 800 feet from our campsite. Luckily we'd stored our food like far away. But I'm like, fuck, bro, we have bear spray. But it's like, things charging at you. You're like, please work, please. Sprays back in your face.
Yeah, you're hoping by the time it's like when they pepper spray people, if they don't stop, they just kind of eventually they do, but like it's not instant.
Well, dude, if the spray is strong enough to fuck up a grizzly bear, think about how much it would hurt a human. I've thought about that.
Oh yeah, no, that
just getting bear sprayed in the face.
Yeah, bear spray must be the absolute worst.
Kill me, please.
No, no. I would never even. Have you ever been pepper sprayed?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You have?
I've been tased and pepper sprayed, and yeah. My one of my best friends growing up, his dad was a cop, and me and my buddy would think it'd be funny to like. I think the pepper spray thing, the tasing thing is like it sucks, but like I've done the stun gun and then like actually getting tased and you like fall over. Pepper spray, you only do it once. You're never stupid enough to get.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's someone out there, but dude, that shit sucks.
So you get the milk. and get out. If they
Does it?
that didn't really do anything.
It it helps your brain thinking you're gonna get through it, but it doesn't like help the symptoms at all. It's fucking brutal.
And how long does it go for? I don't even know.
The like worst part, I don't know, man. Maybe like it felt like it's maybe like 10, 20 minutes, but then you've lingering burning through like the rest of the day. You're like washing your eyes out it's so sticky. Never, ever, ever do that.
It's like when people have those intense hot sauces and they get them on their hands, they don't know, and they like wipe their eye and it gets to
Dude,
their eyebrow. It's like,
I have done that so many times. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've messed with my contact. I didn't realize I was eating like a habanero sauce earlier in the day.
dude, it's funny because I like a mild sauce would have me on my ass. And like I'm thinking about like those other ones where I
Yeah.
like every once in a while someone goes on like hot ones and I'm like, that's a cool guy. Let's see what happens with this one.
Yeah.
And it's not like my go-to show, but every once in a while I'm like, when they talk about like, "Yeah, this one's the fucking death pickle sauce," and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I would be on the floor.
The name is always fucking That's when I realized I was like, dude, I definitely have some like fucking wild ancestry in me because it's like there's something in you to where you can like eat crazy spicy food. Like you had to like I feel like you evolved that over like 1,000 or 2,000 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right with that because even like, even with like I can just now probably do medium,
Oh, that's crazy, dude.
and I think I'll
Doesn't even,
tap
like
at that.
I feel like medium doesn't even like elicit that like dopamine response that you get from like really spicy foods.
I guess I've never even know. I don't think I've ever had the
But I think
dopamine
it's
effect.
kind of like the cilantro thing. You know how like cilantro tastes like soap for some people?
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
I see that's crazy, but I think the hot sauce is a similar thing where I think for some people like really spicy stuff elicits like a strong dopamine response, whereas
And I
other
like it.
people it's just fucking pain and they're like,
Yeah,
I don't want to do this.
yeah. Like it's. I know it's very white of me to be like, but like the legit like there is the times where like I've gone to like B Dubs and like I get the mild and I'm like, I can't even finish this. It
Yeah.
hurts so bad. And people are like, you got mild. I'm like, I know. I just can't touch it.
The funny thing is Alyssa's mom is also my girlfriend's mom is from Panama, and most people, like especially Americans, our entire like concept of Latin food is
Yeah.
Mexican food because Mexican food's everywhere. It's like the closest in proximity to us. But what people don't realize is Latin America is fucking huge. It's like 32 countries across the world.
Yeah.
There's one country that eats spicy food, and it's Mexico. All the rest of them have like the plainest food of all time.
Yeah.
So it's funny, like you go Central America, South America, like nothing is spicy. So they get fucked up by spicy food, just like white people do in like America and Western Europe and stuff. But when I go to Mexico, they'll always try to like tone it down. They'll give you like the gringo version of it, and I'll be like, no, like give me how spicy you would eat it. They're like, oh,
Yeah. You get excited about it.
yeah, you face that shit in front of them. It's like immediate like social karma points, like social credit score up.
One of the coolest places you said you've been to is Mexico City, right?
Oh yeah, dude, just like Buenos Aires was, or Mexico City was the only place I could kind of like compare Buenos Aires to because it's such an international city. And we all have these like ideas of Mexico. Like most people have just been to like Cancun or whatever. There's a huge downtown with like crazy skyscrapers. Like it's their financial hub and capital. And then expands so far and there's 18,000-foot volcanoes like
Yeah.
way out in the distance. Um, very like modern, literally I think the best food city in the world. Like I'm a New York food homer like until the day I die, but Mexico City might be like my favorite food city in the world. It's super cheap, like there's some bougie ass neighborhoods, they're cool. um yeah, Mexico City is like a great like intro to Latin America if you want to start like doing that kind of stuff but you're still like a little apprehensive and you're worried like about safety or whatever because it's pretty safe. But yeah, Mexico City, I would live there too, kind of like Buenos Aires.
Which one?
Mexico, I would live
Pick one.
both. Like Mexico City, I would the things are so far from each other, even though they're in Latin
Yeah.
America, that even like the seasons and everything, like Mexico City gets hot. And the funny thing that like, dude, Latinos, you'll see in America too, but like especially in like their country, these motherfuckers will wear jeans every single day of the year. It's 100 degrees outside. Everyone's wearing jeans because they see shorts as being like not like disrespectful, but like almost like you just look like shit. Like you're just like, no,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you look lazy. Like in America, like the athleisure stuff is kind of normal. We'll wear like glorified sweatsuits
Yeah.
out and about. Whereas there, no matter the weather, bro, sneakers, jeans, polo shirt, like, and everyone either like pretends like they're not hot or they're just built different. Cause I'll kind of throw on that look when I'm there. So I can kind of like assimilate a little bit. like duck and weave, so I'm not like getting signaled out, and I'm dying the whole time. It's miserable.
Yeah, no, I mean, coming from Florida, just the idea of wearing jeans in that humidity is
June,
just,
July,
yeah,
Florida.
it's horrendous. Like
Yeah.
you walk out and it's sticking to your leg. Like I get how anyone, I don't know how you can adapt to that. Is what I'm trying to say.
Well, Florida, my whole like I wanted to move from Florida because of the humidity. Like anyone that tells you that Florida summers are nice, like they're fucking lying.
No,
Florida summers are some of the worst situations you can be in America, like weather-wise. And I was like, it cannot get worse than this. And then I went to like actual countries on the equator in the middle of the summer, and it's fucking miserable.
yeah,
Like Cartagena, Colombia, it's like a coastal city in Colombia, the fucking most humid place. Brandon missed his flight. Our buddy, I invite him on this last second like Colombia trip. He goes out and gets blacked out in Nashville the night before. I'm like texting him in the morning. I'm like on my way to Cartagena, and I get no response. I'm like, bro, please be the show up. He texts me 2 hours after I land, like, bro, I just woke up. Fuck, dude. I'm gonna say I end up getting robbed and went by myself. I'm like, and then he shows up and I'm like guilt tripping him. I'm like, ready to go, bro. You left me alone for one day. I got fucking robbed by a bunch of dudes in Cartagena. But yeah, dude, it is disgustingly hot.
and it's why I always think of like the linen, like the white guys in the linen outfits and
Yeah.
stuff. And like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever worn those. If you had like the linen shirts and stuff,
Yeah.
it does make a difference.
Oh, for
It's like
Well,
100% makes it.
So like at like Northern Africa and stuff, I bought a bunch of like flats and stuff there. No, no, no. So they're different. So they have but the real move, the people that really have it figured out are the Saudis that wear those like white,
Yeah,
like the sheiks.
yeah, yes.
You're basically just in like pajama, like thin like pajamas almost, but it's like a nightgown. They have that shit figured out because it gets to what like 125
Easy.
all the time.
All the time.
They look cozy as hell, bro.
Yeah, those look. I've never once thought they don't look cozy.
Yeah. Well, you tried on.
I tried on the Brock.
Try from the one with the weird pointy hood and the bucket. You look like the night or the who's the Christmas movie guy where he's got like the little
Yeah. Oh my God, the Scrooge. It looked like Scrooge.
in it, and it yeah, and you see thousands of people wearing those at night. You just see the silhouettes of them look like sorcerers, like all walking around. I'm like, fuck.
It's like the wizard memes. Those wizard memes.
Yeah.
I love those. That
No,
those have
it's like-
just popped up.
Dude, the trippiest experience of my entire life was I had that like team trip to Morocco where I flew everyone out, but everyone left, and then my flight was a day later because I had to like go do some shit in Europe. So I leave everyone else. I leave our nice Airbnb, and I get a little place in like the historic city center because I can walk over to the airport. But my flight's like hella early, so I wake up at like 4:30. I got a mile walk. I'm like lugging my big roller suitcase, and it's Ramadan, so all the prayer bells go off at like 4:30, and everyone like does like a pilgrimage to the nearest mosque. So I'm out walking, like no one else is on the street, and then out of nowhere, like
Yeah,
these bells
crowded as can be.
and there's 10,000 people in those fucking outfits, but it's dark out. So you just see their silhouettes, and they're just like zombie walking, like all converging to a mosque. And I'm like, excuse me, like navigating around them with my suitcase. Some real Walking Dead
Yeah.
vibes.
Yeah.
all very nice though.
What did you do? What did you do in a zombie apocalypse situation? Because I feel like, okay, like growing up as a kid, like I remember as a kid, like seeing The Walking Dead, that all of us would be like, oh, we'll be doing this, we'll be doing that. Like there was like, remember I've taken you to, the Dunedin, remember the Dunedin Causeway? I checked you see when we went out there.
Exactly. Nazi zombies.
We were like, we'll just put the drawbridge up and we'll stay on the island part of
You
it.
can swim.
I don't know.
Well, I think it really depends on where it's like localized. Like if it happens on like another continent, where it happens in the United States, because like there's a shit ton of backcountry out here that like probably retreat into the backcountry and like it's somewhere like insanely difficult to get. Like, but then the weather's crazy. Like, how do you survive? Like,
there's so many factors that, like, again, as a kid, we're like, we'll just do this. We'll be on the island. Then like now I'm older. I'm like, a hurricane could come the next year. We'd be dead.
I think, honestly, the best place is probably Guam because it's insanely isolated and they have a shit ton of U.S. military technology. If you can somehow charter a plane to Guam, that would be a pretty nice, like, base to post somewhere in the Pacific. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A tiny little island that, like...
Yeah. You hope you can just boat out there.
But it's almost like, in movies, they make it seem like zombies are like heat-seeking missiles where they, like, always know where... You know what I mean? It's not just like they see...
That's how they were in World War Z. Yeah, they could just, like...
Yeah, it's like they know you're there. So it's like, we wiped out every other continent. Like, oh, we're all gonna start swimming across the fucking, we're gonna hijack a plane.
Yeah. 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 I can't picture that's how they're gonna be. If
I
that
don't. I As far as like weird
was it.
scenarios of like not even like apocalyptic, but just like create like the 0.001% chance shit that could happen. I don't really think about zombie stuff that much. I feel like there's other like even
No, I haven't thought about that in a while, but you just said zombies and made me think about
no
it.
even yeah, but even like the well, did you see the thing about the asteroid?
Yes, yeah.
I don't buy it, but it's so funny because I saw the report last week and they're like 1.4% chance the asteroid hits the Earth. And then this week they put out a report. It's up to 2.3%. I'm like, fuck, it's getting there.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it China they're now like they're allocating a budget to like an
India. It's
asteroid
gonna hit
defense
India.
team. Yeah, but like they like that's like they're having an asteroid defense team.
Well, supposedly we've been working on that technology. There's a lot of like CIA stuff that's been released where they think that we have like I don't want to say like space shuttles, but almost like extra atmospheric, planes that can go up there and will like shoot missiles at it.
Yeah.
Try to like it's like
I mean, it makes sense that they would have that.
Star Trek shit.
It's kind of like I'm in a way of like surviving and keeping like America going, not just that. Like it's a national security threat.
Yeah,
Like I'm not super surprised they have that stuff.
no. And that's the funniest thing when it comes to like drones and aliens and all that stuff. It's like, dude, if you think that we know what technology the government has, like the government is 20 steps ahead of where we think they are technologically. Like the stealth bombers are good. You ever heard the story about like the stealth bomber? Like we, for a long time, thought that that was like impossible technology, and the government had it for like 25 years and had been working
Yeah.
on it. So it's like, they're like, oh, we don't have commercial drones that can possibly operate that manner. It's like, you dummy, you don't think the government doesn't fucking have, they're not going to come out and tell you, they're like, oh, hey, look what we've been working on.
We know it's funny too is they were saying those things because drones have been coming out of the water and stuff. People are reporting that, and not only like that, they got videos of someone like the naval things, but then like like Iran like posted a video of their like latest military base, and it's underwater
Yeah.
in the I forget what oceans, the Red Sea. It's in the Red Sea underwater, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that just proves it right there. Like, I mean, it could have come from a sub, but I'm like, yeah, of course they probably do have an underwater base. Like that sounds so crazy to think about, but like they posted a video Iran did of their underwater base. Like, of course we have
It's like
one.
some Atlantis shit.
Yeah.
Have you gone down the Atlantis rabbit hole?
A bit. We've talked about it on here
He's
before.
the guy that went on Rogan. He's like a geologist.
Not John Hancock.
No,
Graham Hancock. Sorry.
He definitely references that a bunch, but have you ever heard of the Eye of the Sahara?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's in Mauritania and Western Africa. There's like this crazy, and it's so big that the International Space Station actually uses it as a point to fixate on for like perspective of where they are. And all the old, like I think Plato's recount of which is crazy because if you think about like how recent in the grand scheme of things, like Plato and all his writings, and I mean we take Plato as a pretty credible figure.
Yeah.
Like we use him as a serious reference point for a lot of like antiquity and stuff like that. He claims that he knew people that had been to Atlantis and had trafficked goods with them and all this kind of stuff. And it makes sense that it was, not that far from the Mediterranean because they were in, like we know, like with Graham Hancock and stuff, the water levels have changed so much. Places were underwater that were before. And based on a lot of the stories and, what little clues they have about it, like all of it points to that part of the world. And it, we knew that Northern Africa wasn't
always a desert.
merged with water.
Right.
I mean, the Sahara was like a green, tropical area at one point. So that shit freaks me out because like legends like that, like I don't take them at face value, but I feel like they always have like a shred of truth. Like
Yeah.
they always come back to something.
Correct. Yeah. I don't disagree with that. Wasn't it like the same thing they were talking about, like how every civilization has like, drawings of like the UFOs or dragons. That's where people get that same concept though. Like they all have it. Or how are they all saying it? Like it is kind of makes you think about that. Like, but no, yeah, the Atlantis stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of evidence where it points to the Sahara, and yeah, the Plato accounts are wild because you think about that with like ancient Greek times and like Alexander the Great taking over Persia and all that stuff, and like it is odd. Like, why did he not go to the Africa coast? Why did he not go across the Mediterranean? And the Romans did, and that was only a couple hundred years later. So like it's very interesting how that would work. I don't know.
Well, and there's all these other cities, like there's other lost cities that supposedly existed, like Agartha, and like where all the like all those like frill memes I post and all the Europa memes and stuff, like those are based off of the same like lore that Atlantis was, like these, hidden cities. And uh I don't remember if it was Agartha or the other one, but they essentially claimed that it was like inner Earth, you know what I mean? Like that you would go into the Earth and that um there were
I have been on a kick about this for a little bit now because I've been binge watching the Lord of the Rings series.
oh yeah.
I don't know if I had Alyssa's account. I have his girlfriend's account because she gave it to me, and I'm like waiting for her to text me one day and be like, why is everything my recent videos Lord of the Rings? Like I've just been watching all of them and they'll have it, but like it got me thinking a lot about like especially being out here in the mountains and like the dwarves and stuff. And I'm like, dude, why do we not have like cool, like, why is there no mountain city? Why is there no city like in the mountain? Like, like in the Hobbit,
in the mountain.
you have like a legitimate,
Well, we have that.
we have a military base. I know that. But I mean, like, how is that a part of civilization that has never been a thing where like there is, like, they, like in the, obviously in science fiction and stuff, but like, yeah, they have the fucking, their kingdom is just in the mountain.
There's ancient ruins that kind of point towards that, like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, like when they excavate all these, underground, subterraneous, like cities, basically, like you see, like in Mesa Verde in southwestern Colorado, how they kind of carved it into the
Yeah.
mountain. Imagine that, but Göbekli Tepe is entirely subterraneous. Like they didn't discover it until they had, like, this, like sonar essentially they were using to, and they found from using sonar, just like with people doing their property in the United States, you could see that there was a big like open space
Yeah.
underneath it. So they started to excavate it, and the stuff they found, not only like like habitation wise, but like all kinds of tools that we didn't know they had at the time. And what's crazy is we've excavated less than like 5% of Göbekli Tepe, and just like with it in China, like where the emperor's tomb or whatever the fuck that's
Right.
called, with all the Shaolin,
Yeah.
like cement statues or whatever they are, like there's some shit that we haven't found yet. I guess just like we haven't built it like in the mountain out of necessity, but I feel like eventually we.
Like I'm like in my head, I'm like, that'd be cool. Why would that not? That'd be so sick. Like you go into the mountain and it just opens up and it's like a.
Yeah.
Although then I'm like thinking about it, I'm like we'd fucking ruin it. Like it'd be like a mall. It'd be like a Westfield mall inside.
It's like the Dubai Marine. We'll just go inside. It's just a bunch of like sheiks walking.
Did that
around.
place stall? They're not doing that anymore.
What?
That idea where the
Oh,
10-mile long.
I have friends that live there.
Well, they're still building it.
Well, so they're still building it, but I forget what it's called. The
100-mile long city, right? Just
Oh, that's in Saudi.
yeah. What are you talking about?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Dubai.
Oh no.
I was talking about like the Dubai Marine, and yeah, so that they're still working on. That's like sounds insanely dystopian. But I've actually had some friends, mostly for like UFC fights and boxing events, have been to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and they're very much like catching up to like the Dohas and the Dubais and the Abu Dhabis. Like it's insanely futuristic, and they say that Saudi Arabia kicks ass. Like I want to go there really badly. And they're still very traditional. Like they don't allow alcohol, and they have like all kinds of like cut your hand off if you steal, like that kind of fun stuff. But they're open themselves up to like the world economy so much that it's like a valuable place for Europeans to go to escape taxes and stuff like that. Like that's one part of the world I haven't quite dug into yet that I wanna explore a bit. Alyssa's not too keen on it, but
I wonder why. But anyways,
no burkas anymore.
no, but
It's a burka free zone.
big step in the right direction for
Yeah.
for that. Yeah, I mean, all that area is fascinating from like a historic standpoint. I've always been like Southeast Asia to me is where I think I get the most into. Like just the idea of those civilizations have been there just as long, if not longer. And then for some reason, we have just our Western view and our Western history that we're taught. Like we're very like, and you go back to like, if you think about your 5th grade history class or even your high school history class, like very little is done about like Southeast Asia and China and Japan and all that. And it's like, no, they've been here just as long, if not longer than the Europeans and stuff. As a matter of fact, a lot of the stuff that the Europeans got wouldn't even exist without the East Asia, empires and stuff. So that's just that's definitely somewhere I want to go and check out because there's just so much, and not only just history in a sense of like warfare and and the wall and stuff like that, but just like the temples that they build for worship and the ancient, East Indies and stuff like that with their religions. I think there's a lot of like Eastern medicine, stuff like that, like all that stuff that like the West just don't prescribe to. It's getting bigger over here, which I'm kind of like,
I'm happy. I'm happy about it that it's getting because there's a motherfucker who lived to like 200 years
I'm
old.
definitely happy about it, but I
Yeah.
think what I was getting at was like the group of people that sometimes latch on to things like
Oh,
that. I'm like,
yeah.
oh no.
Well, that's the worst thing is when like net positive things are ruined just by shitty people, and that's a problem I fall into sometimes where you start to identify like the group around it with like the thing itself. It's like, okay, we kind of have to isolate the thing itself.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, because a lot of those people were either conquered by China at one point, or they were conquered by like the Mongol army and stuff like that, the Huns and all that stuff.
And then
So
World War II, Japan ravaging the whole
oh yeah,
whole
well
area.
that's why Japan is so trippy because it's the only place. That's like one of the only places on Earth that was never colonized.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Africa is so trippy to me, and most people do not see it this way. But Africa is super. The reason why Africa is such a culturally like insane place is because of the recent effects of like colonization, like just the language difference. Like every like, you ever heard of Eritrea? In Eastern Africa.
Yes.
So it's the North. They call it the North Korea of Africa. There's like a crazy dictator, no internet. Like the second you get there, your internet doesn't work. But it's like one of the safest countries in Africa because there's no crime because they punish the fuck out of people. But it was one of the only countries in East Africa that was colonized by Italy. So you go there and you're in East Africa, like it's desert, like a picture, like not quite like Somalia, but I guess like Ethiopia kind of like aesthetic. But there's Italian architecture everywhere. They're drinking cappuccinos and speaking Italian and like eating pasta and stuff like that. But it's fucking Africa. It's the craziest shit ever. And then you go up north, or you go to places like Djibouti, or you go to Cameroon, and they all speak French and they're eating French food. Um, and they're insanely culturally different. And it's like a microcosm of that, where you don't really get that anywhere else in the world. Like even South America split up half Spanish, half Portuguese was like how they divided it. Like,
Right.
it's not like 40 people got a piece of it, but because Africa colonization, like that shit didn't end until what, like 1840, 1860.
Really, actually, in World War II.
I guess that's true because they were fighting on the Northern Front in Africa.
Yeah.
And that's so recent. Like that's
60,
that's
70
like
years ago.
two generations of like, yeah, it's almost like adaptation. Like you need like generations and generations to kind of like form
Yeah.
your own.
Yeah, the British still owned Egypt in World War II. They fought over it with the Germans and stuff, and the Italians. They all fought over there. Tunisia, stuff like that was all big. Yeah, it's crazy to think about that.
I want to go to Egypt so bad, but dude, I've heard it's such a fucking nightmare as far as like just being harassed and haggled and like everyone's trying to scam you. Like everyone told me that about Morocco, and I found like it was like avoidable and like you could like I flipped it on him at the end. Like I'd be going through the markets and I'm like fucking haggling the shit out of them. Like I'm
Yeah,
reversing then. But in Egypt, yeah, everyone's trying to like fight. That's honestly like Africa has so much corruption that all my friends that travel through there, like that's the worst part. It's not like the danger, it's not like the people there, it's like the government. The corruption is like on such a governmental level. You have to bribe everybody. Like I guess South America's like that too, but it's fucking crazier in Africa.
hmm. Thinking about that.
What?
I don't know. I just haven't really put too much into that. Like
Dude,
the
in
level of bribing.
in
I
the
know.
non-Western world, like bribery is such like a normal thing. Like it's a good and bad thing in South America is that like you have to be more worried about the police than you do about like
That's
gang
true.
members because they'll steal from you the most. But like, dude, one time I got pulled over in Mexico, and like when you get pulled over by the cops in Mexico, like you already know the drill. Like you know they're about to give you the runaround. Oh, you don't have this, your driver's license, your tail light, and nothing's wrong. And I'll either like immediately go to like how much do I gotta pay you pretty much. One dude, I literally bought him a 6 pack of beer. I bought a cop a 6 pack of beer for him to fuck off and leave me alone. And it's so funny because even like when the dudes robbed me in Colombia, it's not like you're picturing. It's not like fucking give me your money, like
Yeah.
kick your ass. It was like them looking at me like, come on, man, like I gotta like there's five of us, like we need the money, like just give it over. And I'm like, you know what, man, like fucking the deal's a deal.
And they don't really want to beat the shit out of you because they still want other tourists to come. They could save exact
They almost like looked like they kind of felt bad about it. They were kind of like, yeah, man, like shouldn't have followed us back into this dark road.
This is life.
I'm like, yeah, dude, like I just learned an expensive lesson. Uh, but it's funny because all the currency in Colombia is like so. I don't know if it's inflated or it's always been like this, but I think it's like I want to say 5,000 or 10,000 Colombian pesos is $1. So it's like give me 400,000 Colombian pesos, and I'm like, oh, it was my first day there. I'm like, fuck. I reached in, then I go back home and I'm like calculating it. I'm calculating the conversion. I'm like, oh, I took $75. I'm like, it could have a lot worse. You know what I mean? I'm like, fuck, you took 400. No, what's crazy is so the worst inflation in the world for a while it was Argentina, and I have a funny story about that, but it's actually Zimbabwe. So Zimbabwe, I saw the other day, they have a banknote that's $3 trillion. So you're literally, you might go buy like something that's like moderately expensive, like furniture.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, that's $400 trillion. This. You're like, all right, well, here's seven $3 trillion bills.
That's insane. The whole inflation thing is kind of wild because, like, isn't it always going to go up?
It's fucking.
I know.
Well, I mean,
like,
think about like back in.
like even right now, they're like curb inflation. I'm like, isn't
That's
that going to be back up in
it's
like a
like,
couple
it's
years?
like, oh, you know, the S&P 500 goes up, on average 12% every year, and they show you like the exponential growth curve, and it's like, yeah, but the currency's also being devalued. It's like, granted, yeah, companies, our GDP's higher and company valuations get higher, but it's like, did Apple really add $400 billion in shareholder value last year, or did the currency become 25% less valuable?
Yeah.
You know, so all the stock market is, I mean, obviously there's some value to it, but it's just a hedge against inflation. That's
Right.
what real assets are. It's just a hedge against inflation.
Yeah.
It's like our parents like, oh, milk used to cost a nickel when I was your age or some shit like that.
The shit they talk about is ridiculous. Yeah. My dad was telling me the story the other day about how my grandma and grandpa on his side told them how their first house was $100 was the down payment. and then the kicker about that was they had to scrounge every nickel and dime they got to do it.
It's all relative.
Right. But like to think about that, I'm like, yeah, I have $100 in my pocket now, and I could barely get fucking Chick-fil-A for 4 people.
If they moved to Florida from New York, they bought a house and got a mortgage and like did some renovations doing stuff, and it was a nice house, nothing like too crazy.
All right, when you lean back.
Oh no, yeah, you're good. It was nothing too crazy. But now that I'm an adult and I'm like have my own place and I understand how much stuff costs, and it was a nice house. Like nowadays, I don't know, it's probably like in Florida, so take it for a grain of salt, but it's like a $400,000 or $500,000 house. And I'm like, mom and dad, like, what was your mortgage when I was living there? This wasn't that long ago. It was like 12 years ago. They're like, it was like $1,000 a month. I'm like, what? Like, you can't even. There's your mortgage payment for a house with a pool and like an extension on it. I'm like, how did any like? It's obviously like asinine to say, but it's like, how did anyone not have a fucking house at that point? It's like, bro, if you're just alive long enough and you own something, like you're gonna be in a pretty good spot.
That is okay. That's the truth about things too. Of like same thing, like and not like. There's obviously different levels of like risk and things you could do and yada yada. But like, yeah, like if you're just like a Joe Schmo and you can just hold on to something long enough, like the odds are you'll be pretty good, and it might have some value to it.
It's just the opportunity cost sucks, where it's like if you guarantee you know deposit this much, you'll be a millionaire at 55. It's like your life's gonna fucking suck until then, but it's like you got that to look forward to.
Yeah,
it's either one extreme or the other. You know what I mean? It's either like max out your 401k and live in fucking destitution, and then now I'm 55, like I have $5 million in my Roth IRA.
Yeah,
Broke goals.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's funny you say that. I've been thinking about that too, like with my new day job. Like it's got, I get my 401k benefits and yada yada, and like I had those in the past, and like in the past, like not knowing, get out of college, my dad does investment stuff, and he's like, yeah, put X amount in and you'll be good. It's like exactly what you just said. And like and there is a test to that. For the record, like, let's be real. We know a lot of people that can't save for shit and don't know what they're doing with their money and don't know how to invest and don't know how to build things, and like
easy way to do it.
It's an easier way to do it because it is very just like you put it in and then you just let it slip. And like, but you're right. You might not have like the extra money to go do whatever you want to do with it, invest it in something else or whatnot, or who knows, who gives a fuck what else. But like, yeah, with this job, I'm like, I think I'm just going to put like the little benefit amount, like whatever the match is. I'm just gonna do that.
For me, the real
Like, fine with
benefit
it.
is the fact is that it's immediately tax deductible. You know what I mean? So it's like, to a certain extent, like it's not 1-to-1, but it's like, dude, I'm gonna fucking lose this money on my taxes anyways, and like I might as well put it in like a tax-free retirement account, and then I can deduct it now. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then
Yeah.
gets you under that threshold or whatever. But yeah, I definitely need to do better about like long term. I always joke with you. I'm like, if a financial advisor saw like the distribution of like what I'm invested in, like relative to like everything, they'd fucking have a heart attack. Like my parents too. I mean, they wouldn't know either way.
No.
That's just funny too. Is my dad's like done pretty well his whole life, and a very very smart guy. Never has looked into how the stock market works. Has never even considered it.
And that's most people, you know. Like that's legit. Most people.
I brought it up to him one time, and I'm just like, it was like such like a offhand, like off color, just like thing you'd say to someone that where you assume they like implicitly understood, like about shares or debt to earnings ratio. And he's just like, I don't know about none of that shit. I'm like, bro, what have you been doing this whole time? Like, what have you been investing in? And he's like, see all those guitars in that room? It's like the joke with the fucking Hess trucks.
Yes. Yeah.
My parents were convinced that Beanie Babies and Hess trucks were going to be worth like...
Yeah, there was always some collectible that were like, if we start getting this, we'll be good. And you're like, what?
American Girl dolls. It's always fucking something. Our generation doesn't really have that because like TV commercials don't have as much weight as they used to. You know what I mean? Like TV commercials were everything back in the day as far as like marketing goes. Where there's so many products now that there's not like one like what is, I guess like Pokemon cards is the one thing I can remember that's like gotten crazy.
They're still around, and
Yeah.
big, yeah.
Dude, I got some heaters I'm holding on to.
I
I have my mom scrounge up some old books of Pokemon.
I got one that I know is in my collection. It was like the Charizard XP with like it had the flare, like the glitter. I don't know, it's not glitter, but essentially it's shiny.
Charizard,
yeah. And I remember in like 8th grade, it was $330. So I'm like, I don't know what the fuck it is now. I haven't looked. I should, but I'm not going to.
I'll never forget. I had a thick ass binder of baseball cards that I'd collected for a long time, and my mom sold it at a garage sale for $30, bro. To this day, it's like the what if of it's like all the crypto I've lost to like locked accounts and stuff. Oh, dude, you want to? This is a real fucking hard burner the other day. So I don't know if you remember, but I lost my recovery keys to a crypto wallet that had about $15,000 in it. I want to say like last like October or whatever. Put it out of sight, out of mind, whatever. Like I'm gonna write it off like against my gains or whatever. And I don't know what got into me. I was like going through my Coinbase for like tax records or something, and I saw the transactions where I'd originally sent it from my Coinbase to that account, and I'm like, let me check the transaction hash and see how much is in there.
Yeah.
I opened up and that 15K was like 71K now.
Jesus.
Never be able to touch it, bro. I'm like, I shouldn't. It's like the again, like the opportunity cost of like not having it anymore.
Yeah. It's one of those things too where it's like it's better just out of sight, out of mind. Never think about it
If I
again.
ever told my parents that, they'd be like, "You,
My dad would have like
stupidest fucking person that's
Yeah.
ever lived." Money is so fake, bro. It's so fucking fake.
It's funny. Okay, it's funny you brought that up. I haven't looked at it like that, but I have been like in the last couple months where I'm looking around and I'm looking at how much money there's, and they're like, this has this market cap, this has this is, and I'm like, there's so much fucking money in this world. I'm like, how do you not figure out
How to get a little piece
of it? Exactly. And that's where I've been. That's the kick I've been on recently. Where I'm like, okay, what is it? Obviously, I think there should be, at least in my philosophy, a little bit of an intersection of like, how can you get a piece of it, but also how can you do something you semi-enjoy, or not just like fucking plugging away numbers as an accountant.
I think when I was younger, because I was broke, there were so many things that I couldn't do because of money, whether it was like big school, like we all went to New York at the end of my senior year, I couldn't go on, or just like shit my friends would invite me on. And there were so many things I had to say no to because of money that I kind of like reframed my mind. And my only model of success was like, I just want to have enough money to where I never have to say no to something I want to do because of money.
Yeah.
Because like, it's like the obvious, like the trope of like the time versus money thing. So that's how I put it in now, where I'm like sitting there and I'm like, fuck, this is money. It's not that like I don't have it. It's that I like, if I was being completely like black and white, like if I asked AI, they'd tell me not to spend it because they don't take that into account. But then I think about it, I'm like, man, I'll get it back somehow. You know what I mean? But it's like, but I'm not gonna get the time back. I could stumble ass backwards into $3,000 somehow at some point this year, but I'm not gonna get that week back where I could have gone and done shit. Um, and it makes time go by so much what people say where they're like, life goes by so fast. Like it's because you have this like monotonous routine where nothing deviates. You work Monday through Friday, you fuck off, probably drink or whatever on the weekends.
No.
It's like no wonder time goes by so fast. Every week seems exactly the same. Whereas and obviously I know this isn't realistic, but if you're like traveling for a month or 2 months straight, it feels like like granted time does fly 'cause you're having fun, but it feels like the longest 2 months because you've had so much different shit going on.
Yeah.
Like January 1st feels like I know it's not that long ago and it kind of went fast, but it feels like a fucking lifetime ago because so much has happened in between then. Whereas like if I was just like kind of sticking to my routine from then, I'd be like, oh, I woke up one day and it's March. Like, where did the time go? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, the time paradox stuff is interesting because I was thinking about I feel like I've said this a lot now, like a broken record, but like last month, I felt like the first 2 weeks of January were just like so fucking long.
Yeah.
Like just I was like, this is the longest fucking.
Good
It
thing.
felt like a fucking year. Well, it wasn't, but
Yeah.
it might be. Sometimes there is that too. But that's what I was getting at was like you have times in your life where you're like, damn, this has just been like so fucking long. You're like, well, wait, it was only 2 weeks. And then you have that same, like the next 2 weeks can be just like that opposite feeling where you're like,
Mhm.
time flew by. And it's very interesting how we put like that monetary value of like, it's 7 p.m. right now and it's 5 p.m. But then at the reality, it's like when people talk about when they get in a car crash and they're like, everything's slowed. Like that, like, how do you explain that? Like, and I've been in situations like,
Yeah.
I haven't been in a car accident, but I've been in other situations where I remember one time being in Orlando and there was a shooting downtown and like we were out in this fucking street and we heard like a noise down line and we looked. I just remember in slow motion seeing people like running out like behind the corner and like tripping over one another. Like I remember seeing it clear as day because I was like, because they were trying to get the fuck away. And I remember being like, well, that was like super slow. And then it just like, boom, get the fuck out. Next thing you know, the next 10, 20 minutes was fast as fuck. But like, it's weird how that like, that
It's your somatic nervous system like slowing things down in like a survival sense. But that's what always trips me out whenever like say for example like I don't know, you have like a big trip coming up in 2 weeks and you're like, oh, I'm so excited. I wish I could just fast forward. But it's like, that's such like a backwards way of thinking about it because it's like, what, you just want to waste 2 weeks of valuable time that's longer than the time you're going to be away. It's like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like a difference between having something to look forward to and like actually being present about stuff. That's the one thing I've been trying to focus on more than anything. It's like just the idea of being present because we're always thinking about the next, like subconsciously, we're always thinking about the next thing. Like you're doing this, you're like, oh, I'm gonna drive home and then I'm gonna cook food and then I'm gonna do this,
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
just like
Yes.
actually like consciously being in the moment.
Yeah.
And there's a great,
I'm so glad you brought this.
it's either a Seneca's quote or it's from Marcus Aurelius in Meditations, and it was one of my favorite thing I've read in like the past year. It's like the man that lives in the present lives forever. And it's like kind of a paradox because you're like the idea of time is like so constrained to like our perception of existing and whatnot. So it's like if you are always present in the moment, nothing exists like future past, like outside of like the
Yes.
three-dimensional
Yes.
experience.
I'm so glad you brought this up because I have been on a kick with this recently and I'm building off of that, not necessarily that exact train of thought, but something that I've picked up on and noticed is like and I think everyone is to certain degrees, but like I can be easily distracted and I can be very easily like, I'm going to put a podcast on and like say something comes up and I'm like, I don't really want to fucking think about that. I don't want to be present with that right now. Okay. And that's where I was learning was I was like, because I was kind of pushing things off instead of like just like okay that fucking came in and the reality is too is on a quick tangent like when you push things off they just come back 10 times harder so it's better to just deal with them right then and there and then they eventually just float away. But what I have been doing recently is trying to be more present and off the phone in a sense to throughout the day and to start the day and to end the night like because before like dude like one of the biggest traps I think most people get into is the doom scrolling like the second they wake up. And I don't know, I can't explain it for everyone, but I know for me, like, because I've been doing this, like, little bit of an experiment with myself the last month, like, if I wake up and I doom scroll for 30 minutes, I feel like a lazy piece of shit the rest of the day. And I never feel like I can really get to, like, full 100% like go.
Mhm.
And like the days I wake up and I open the blinds, and my room luckily faces sun comes in, so I fucking love that. So I open the blinds immediately, and the sun's shining in, and
Yeah.
I just, even if I literally am still laying there, it's not like I have to get up and move, but like I
Mhm.
just put the phone, turn the alarm off, put the phone down, and I just sit out and like it sounds so like boomerish of me to like lay in bed and just look at the city.
No,
But
that's
like this, and I sit there and do that for 20 minutes, and then I get ready, and then I check my phone when maybe when
yeah.
I get in the car, and that's been 30, 40 minutes out of the car. There are days too now where this is, I know this sounds psychotic. I actually said this on a previous podcast, but like being more present too, like there's been days now in the morning, if it's a beautiful morning and I know like tomorrow, hopefully it's a
Mhm.
beautiful morning, the snow peaks are out, the sky is clear, I'm going to see the fucking mountain my entire drive.
Mhm.
I won't even put music or a podcast on,
Yeah.
drive in silence.
That's pretty sick. Yeah.
And, but it's, people are like, that's psychotic. I'm like, yeah, a little bit, but it's a weird way to be like, present with yourself of like you're driving, you're seeing the view, and like the thoughts come in and you just kind of let them, you know, think about them, whatever, and
Yeah.
move them out. And then the other like two small things are like, which I think is funny to say, but like trying not to bring the phone to like the bathroom at all. So like that
Mhm.
means shower, like you take
Yeah.
a shit, you're just like,
Yeah. Just
there's
double
it's nothing, you're raw dogging it. And like it's funny to think about,
existing
but
in
like
time and space.
yeah, well, because like I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about like, you know, I used to have like all these like shower thoughts. It was a whole category. It's a whole fucking category on Reddit
Yeah.
of things. And like, yeah, like I've noticed like, yeah, like it's so I got in a routine of like I put a podcast on, I hop in the shower, listen to the fucking the things,
That's what your
and then
thought loop goes.
right. And so now I'm like, you know what? Maybe 3 nights a week, there's no fucking phone with me.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude, the one thing that I do, and it's because like the only reason I'm able to do it is because I'm traveling so frequently. Like the one thing I'll do with that is sometimes I'll sit for silence on a really long time on an airplane and just look out the window. And that's like some fucking like, dude, if you have anything in your brain that like even subconsciously you're like pushing to the back
yeah,
because you're so busy, dude, you're fucking something about being in a plane and just looking out over the earth from like 30,000 feet above. Like you have the rawest like human thoughts and emotions of
yeah,
all time. I'm just like for hours, I'm just like sitting out there looking out the window, just like thinking about some shit like, fuck, bro, this is
yeah,
crazy. That's my, not to diverge from this topic because it's tangentially related, but dude, one of my like the craziest things I can't understand is people that get window seats and never open the window and look out the window the whole time. To me, that's like the most inhuman thing of all time.
yeah,
It's like, dude, you're in a, and every time I say this to people, they laugh because it's like we never frame it that way. You're in a giant fucking metal bird hurtling through
yeah,
the atmosphere, 30,000 feet above with a bunch of fucking strangers teleporting you across the world.
yeah.
Like I'm,
Literally teleporting. Like if you fall asleep, it's like you wake up, you're like, oh fuck.
it's almost like against our biological nature because think about what it would take for you to get from America to Europe back in even not dude not even that long ago, 100 years ago. You have to get on a boat for like 4 months. You're
Yeah,
maybe not going to make it. You walk or take a horse across
yeah.
land.
And it's not a relaxing boat.
I can fucking
It's a grab the ropes that we're going or
I
the
set
sails
my
flying
fucking
out.
car on my phone. Like you can literally wake up. I wake up and I'm like, button press, button press, button press, drive 30 minutes, show up at a building, get on a fucking plane. Before I know it, I hand them a piece of plastic. They're like, oh, this has value somehow. And then I get on a plane and I wake up and I'm across the fucking world where people speak a different language. It's a different season. And it never ceases to blow my mind that I'm just like, dude, this is fucking crazy. Like, we genuinely live in the greatest time to be alive because it's like, think about your great grandparents that fought in, like fucking World War One and shit. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna go to Australia. Like, no, the fuck you're
Yeah,
not. For
yeah.
how the fuck are you gonna get there?
It's totally different society now to be able to do that stuff, and people are like starting to figure that out. Like not everyone's doing
Yeah.
it. In my
We're seeing more stuff than if you add every one of our ancestors that's ever existed together has seen. No matter,
that's probably true.
even if they're from like different continents and shit. Like, we have seen more stuff than exponentially than the combination of everyone that's ever lived before us.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, you just stayed on your farm or in your village.
That's why when I see some older people, either it's not that they don't, I guess some of them don't have the interest. A lot of people are just comfortable and it's harder to travel when you're older, but it's just crazy to me just talking to people. It's just like, yeah, just stayed here forever. And I'm just like, what, bro? Like, you know, do the globe, you spin that shit around. You're like, what the fuck's going on over there? I want to fucking, I would love to do one of those, Doesn't have to be YouTube video, even if it's just for fun, where I like spin a globe and like throw a dart at it and just see where
Yeah.
it lands and fucking fly there.
Yeah.
Kind of what I do now. But
Yeah, no, but it's a cool I mean, there's some guys that have that there's a guy that does that with like music. Have you seen he spins the globe and he points and he
oh yeah,
partner with somebody there and make a song. I thought about that for a podcast. I thought about if I had a map America and I just threw a dart and I was like, gosh, I gotta go to fucking Tulsa and find someone interesting to do a podcast with there. But I don't know.
it's just just the concept of like traveling and shit never ceases to blow my mind. That there's just so like I am so into geography, and I've scrolled for fucking so thousands of hours on Google Maps, Apple Maps, whatever. Sometimes I will find a new place that I didn't know existed. And I'm like, new DLC unlocked, like
Yeah.
new fucking
Yeah.
please. Look, was that always there? I don't think that was always there. The land beyond the ice wall.
Right. That's my favorite theory. Yeah, no, that's definitely you always were someone who loved to travel. I think that's why we get along because we did a lot of travel, even if it was in the States at first.
Yeah.
And now obviously you were gone abroad. But something that I think is a little important to highlight because I guess you kind of know what's going on with my life and what I've been thinking about and what I'm trying to get going and stuff. And but there was a time period where you were like very locked in to get kind of this point. Like
Yeah.
and I wouldn't mind diving a bit into that because I think sometimes that's very overlooked. Like I think on the surface level, like even some of our friends are like, "Oh, he travels, he gets to do this, he gets to do that," and I'm like, "Yeah, but he wasn't always doing that." And I'm not discrediting the travel, but I mean like what I'm more so trying to say is like there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that like it's not just like one day it was like boom
Oh,
here.
yeah. Also, it's funny nowadays what people don't see is like the juggling act you have to do to travel that much, but still like have multiple businesses full time. It's like you only see the like me doing cool shit. You don't see the like me getting back to the hotel room and like taking meetings for like 4 hours. But yeah, especially when I was in Orlando, I was fucking locked in. But I've always been the kind of person where I just so don't do well at jobs. I just don't fucking want to be there. I don't care. So at that point, I was just like, bro, if I can fucking even just build like the bare minimum on the side just for me to be able to quit and just not have to deal with this shit anymore. It wasn't even the work, bro. It's not even the working part. It's just the idea of like not owning my own time. Like that's a crazy concept to me. The idea that like another and it sounds like almost like a privilege to say it now, but it's like the idea of another grown man telling me when I can and can't do something and I'm like a fucking grown ass person. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's crazy to be like, oh, please, Mr. Boss, can I have time off to do this? Pretty, please. I'll be very good. I'm like, dude, I always just felt like such a bitch doing that. It just felt like I like an animal in the fucking zoo. You know what I mean? Um, but I've always wanted that. But yeah, when I was in Orlando, I mean, I was locked in and I was still taking like a bunch of trips. But like you said, we were mostly doing domestic stuff. Dude, I didn't even get my fucking passport until like 2022.
Yeah.
I've done like 40 countries now in the span like 2.5 or 3 years. But before, like, I didn't travel growing up too. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
like, people's families went on vacation. We'd go to fucking Daytona Beach, Florida, like the most white trash fucking vacation.
Yeah,
We'd go to Disney.
Yeah.
You know, we do. Luckily, I had family out here, so that's like kind of what made me fall in love with this place. But I didn't travel at all, so and I didn't even really think about it that much. But yeah, just the idea of just kind of like working for myself. And it's like when you have a goal, it's easier to work towards. And everyone says this. It's like, you know, people always talk about like the good old days, like, oh, you know, you're living in the good old days right now. It's like, I wouldn't trade what I'm doing now to go back and do that again. Like, I would never want to do it again because it sucked ass. But I look back at those as like some of the best times of my life. Just going to the gym every day, working. Because like me at the time didn't realize like what it would turn into. But like looking back at it now, you're like, oh, I'm fucking glad I did that. But I could always like, I'm by no means like the most locked in person or the most like productive person. Like I'm probably less productive than most people think I am. I think it's more so just about like being able to leverage stuff, you know what I mean? Like if you can it's not how hard you work, it's like how much you can accomplish within the time that you're working. Um so it's all about leverage. And I was so slow. The big thing that I'm realizing now, the more I hire and the more I build up like the head count on my team and the more I'm outsourcing stuff, the more I'm like, it's one thing. I'm like, fuck, man, I wish I did this earlier. Like I was trying to do everything myself, like keep the margins. And there's a great rule. It's like if someone can do something 80% as good as you, like let them do it for you. And then there's another great book. It's like, I think it's called Chase the like focus on the 10x instead of the 2x. And the idea is that 80% of your growth is going to come from 20% of your effort. So the goal is identifying that 20% and then cutting out the 80%. So for me, I was like, in my agency, I'm trying to do service delivery. I'm trying to do account management. I'm trying to do sales. I'm trying to do like manage my team and all that stuff. But I'm like thinking like, what is the one thing that grows my business the most? And then I can outsource everything else. I'm like sales and client acquisition. I'm like, that's the one thing I'm the best at. That's what I focus on the most. Service delivery, account management, like internal team management. I'm like, fuck all that. I'll pay someone else to do that stuff and I'll focus on that. Because it's like the hustle grind thing is like a 2x mindset. You want to
Right.
be in like the 10x. And they say a way in the book that I really like where it's like you've already 10x'd your life multiple times and you haven't realized it. And when you
Mhm.
put it in that frame, it makes the next 10x seem so much more doable. Like I was fucking in high school. I remember my dream. I was like, bro, if I can make 100K at a job by the time I'm 30, I'm like, I'll be fucking killing. Because you remember six figures sounded
Yeah.
like so much money when we were younger. I'm like, dude, if I can have $100,000 job when I'm 30, like, and it's a cushy, like, easy office job, I'm like, bro, I'll be killing it. Then you go from that, and then like going to college, and then like even just like moving out here, like you moving out here, for examples, like such a lifestyle switch that it's like a 10x in your life. That like the next 10x jump is like you don't even see it coming, but it's going to be so much like exponentially bigger than what it is now. And that's cool because you always have like something crazy to look
Right.
forward to. That's why I'm like so quick like with the Vietnam thing I was talking about. 'Cause I'm like, fuck it, bro. Like, dude, like send it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just do the next big fucking thing. Just the worst thing I could imagine is just like sitting around and not you know doing shit I wanted to do because I'm like, oh, I need to be responsible. I need to, oh, but what about my 401k? I can't do that. It's like one day you're not going to be like, bro, like, why the fuck was I caring about all that shit so much?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely have loosened up a little bit. Not that I was always rigid, but I've had moments. I've had my moments. What was it about? For those that don't know, you have a marketing agency that you started, and it's mainly based up with retention marketing.
Mhm.
What was it that was the draw? Why was there? Why was retention marketing the one to go to out of all of the different agency
It
types?
definitely wasn't out of passion. It was more out of like the stars converging and like the opportunity because I was doing sales at that software email marketing company. So I already kind of had, and I had that experience where I'm working with agencies because a lot of times like the brands aren't the ones actually using the software. It's the agencies that manage them. And I would interact with them, and so many of them were just incompetent and like bare minimum and just terrible that it was kind of like that light bulb moment where it's like, oh, I think I can do this better than they can. I have the technical background. I have a book of business where I can essentially take that over. And that was the easiest thing for me was I never really had to start from scratch because I had a little bit of a launching pad because I was able to transfer some of that business. So I was able to at least make enough money to replace my job. And then that gave me like cause you don't realize how much time we waste at work, bro. Like think about how much faster you would grow your personal shit if you didn't have any of the work hours.
Yeah.
Your entire day, like you wake up in the morning, like from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, you're like, okay, I have all this open time. No one's forcing me to do anything, but that's like the tough part too. It's like, there's no one bitching at me if I don't send out my emails I should be sending, if I'm not like
Right.
doing client delivery stuff. Um, so you kind of got to be responsible about it. But yeah, for me, it was just, I love and I always tell people, I just love the service-based business model because it's very little upfront cash investment. You can hire very quickly and outsource a lot of stuff, especially given with the internet, international talent, and it's very cash flow positive, which is like what you want your first business to be. So many people try to jump into like essentially like launching an e-commerce product. Like, oh, I have a great idea for this, but there's so much upfront capital
Right.
investment. You don't have any positive cash flow for multiple years. You have to manage to stay alive. Um, so it's like when you're a kid, it's like, dude, what's an easier business to go fucking buy a bunch of t-shirts and sell them or to go mow lawns? Like first you trade your time for money. And then once your business grows enough, you hire other people to trade their time for money and you use that as like a scaling compounding effect. But I mean, I could replace it with anything. And like we've gotten a TikTok shop and all kinds of other stuff now. But if you told me to redo it and I had to do it with acquisition, like Facebook ads and stuff, like I would do the same thing I did now. It's just, I think the business model is fucking dope. It's a little more oversaturated than it used to be, but and it kind of goes back to the idea that like boring businesses work. Everyone wants to like invent the next thing, like they think of like rich business owners almost as someone that like found this insane untapped niche in the market and they like have no, it's like, dude, the best thing you can do is take like a fucking, a congested market and just have some sort of competitive advantage. Think about how many fucking supplement companies. No one's out like, oh, there's already a million, whey proteins out there. Like, I'm not going to launch mine. It's like, no, you have a giant market. You just need one differentiation that can
Yeah.
target a specific group of people. Same with buying businesses. Like, I think with AI and shit, I think the next big wave, and you've seen it happening already. You see Harvard and Yale educated people that normally would go into tech or something like that. They're going out and buying fucking AC businesses and going and buying car washes and stuff because they're material and they produce positive cash flow. And you can parlay one into another and scale that way.
Would you say one of the superpowers, and I'm using that term lightly, but like, would you say it was kind of a superpower for you to be able to focus on one thing, which was growing your retention marketing agency versus like doing a whole bunch of things? Because at least from
Mm-hmm.
how I've seen you develop your business and get into other things, it seems that you very much took an approach of like, and not that you didn't always have other things, but like
Mm-hmm.
you seemed very focused, if not like 80% of your time on the retention marketing agency.
Oh, yeah.
And then now that you're kind of at this level, not that you still don't have a ton of focus for it, but you were able to put your eggs in some other baskets now.
Oh yeah, you gotta really focus on one business model. I mean, I went through a bunch of other failed business models before, but they weren't concurrent.
Mm.
I'd like jump from one thing to another. But yeah, once you've shown that you can make money with something, your next dollar is going to be way easier to make with what you're already making money with than venturing into something else. And it's like shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
When the crypto bull market is popping off, every agency owner is suddenly like swing trading meme coins and stuff like that. It's like, bro, stick to like what got you here. Like stick to doing the same shit over and over. Like work on one thing, and there's a lot, obviously, like lots of complexity within the one thing you're working on, but it's like, yeah, dude, it's like, the bird in the hand is worth two in the bush sort of thing. It's like you already have a fucking business. It's like, why are you trying to complicate things and start another one?
Was it easy for you to hone in on that, or was there actually a bit of a challenge period where there were a couple different things maybe going on at once, and then you kind of decided after a year or so, this is the one thing, or
Once
was
you
it pretty instant?
once you see the success with something, I think it's very easy to lock in. It's tough when you're in the beginning and you don't have any return from it, and then you don't know what that one thing is to life. And then in hindsight, it's pretty easy to be like, oh, I should have just been working on this the whole time. But you never know what's going to take off. And it's also like, I don't know. I think I don't like using the word luck, but there's just so many factors that go into it that it's like, I think as long as you're like working towards something, the pieces will fall in place if you're like, putting effort in the right direction. It's easy for me to like go back and be like, oh, I knew this was going to happen. Like, I had no fucking idea that any of this shit was going to happen or that any of this was going to work or that any of this was going to like, one thing was going to lead into another. And I mean, most of my opportunities have come from just meeting the right person at the right time.
Yeah.
Like I've had I don't know if it's the luck of, the cosmos or whatever, but I've crossed paths with the right people at the right time in a lot of ways. But it's like that great, I forget who says the quote, but it's like, the harder I work, the luckier I get. So it's like the more you put yourself out there, the more kind of like opportunities that cross your path. Um, and I don't know why I've always had this, like, I don't think this way as much anymore and kind of a different perspective, but I've always had this, like, irrational, I would say optimism, and it's not even, like, confidence. It's, like, irrational faith that everything is going to, like, go exactly how I want it to. I would always say that the universe is conspiring in my favor for
Yeah.
me to win and win bigly. And I don't really think that way anymore, but even if it was, like, delusional, it kind of helped me. You kind of have to be fucking delusional.
A little bit. Yeah.
But, yeah, you got to just be, like, a fucking... have like a rational self-confidence. And, my parents weren't like, my parents are like, go to college, get a job, whatever. So, I mean, they were a little, worried about me, but I've always kind of like gone off and done my own thing. But yeah, it's just about fucking, grinding at it until the right opportunity comes up.
Yeah. I think there's some to hit on there about like that, with that quote you said, when you're putting the hard work out, I think the, universe, God, whatever you want to
Yeah.
believe in or say, I think it recognizes that and it kind of returns that. I've always thought about that in a similar sense of like, just however you're viewing the world. The world's a mirror essentially.
Yeah.
And the way you're viewing it is what it's going to reflect back. If you're negative and you're like, this fucking sucks, well, guess what? It's going to throw that shit right back at you. But in the same sense of like, find what you're going to do and those opportunities that come along with it. I definitely agree with that. I think, and then you touched on like being lucky. And I think that's a thing too, at least my belief with the luck part of things is like, it's it's a little bit of luck, but it's not because I think you have to be. It's only presented when you're ready to take that opportunity.
Ready to like say it's like another, I hate just fucking recycling platitudes, but it's like, you know, the and there's a lot of ways you could phrase it, but it's almost like the universe will like keep showing you the same door until you like walk through it. It's like, and it's like it's like in video games, like, the universe will somehow find a way to present the same challenge in front of you until you can overcome it. And it's like you don't always realize in the moment that that's what's happening.
That's true.
You got to get to like the next level. You got to ascend up
Yeah.
the hierarchy. Um, yeah, it's trippy to think about it that way because it really just boils down to like the law of attraction. That's pretty much what it is. Like you're like with the mirror thing, you're saying like the luck is really just the idea of like that you're manifesting whatever you want to
Right.
putting something out there, and then it's coming back to you because you have like the belief in it.
Yeah, and I do, and again, like I feel like the law of like that stuff, like what manifestation and law of attraction. I think those terms get tossed around watered down very loosely right now. And I actually do think they have some power, but I think like what we've been saying like this whole time is like there's some effort in behind it. Like just because you manifest it doesn't mean it's just gonna like magically appear and pop up. Like
Yeah,
there's got to be a little bit behind it that's going on where then it shows itself. Like, you talk to like you see DJ interviews and stuff, and they're like, yeah, I kind of thought about like I would eventually be here, and I'm working, but like they didn't just like make one song; they made 40 songs that you've never heard of, and then the 45th one it finally hit.
so
Like,
that was
you know what I
it was
mean?
an overnight success. It only took 6 years.
Yeah, or maybe it took 12. You never know. Yeah, it's interesting. I think those terms are very watered down nowadays, but. We'll do right like an hour and a half. So
Yeah.
I feel like I took a lot of your time. I don't want to take too much more. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. We'll do this again.
Yeah, we'll
Be a regular on the pod, hopefully.
we'll run it back. Yeah, I didn't even get into my crackpot conspiracy theories.
Yeah, we barely touched the surface of the business stuff too. I wanted to have more
I get
questions
into
down the line.
Elon's new child. We'll talk.
Oh yeah, all this fun stuff. But anyways, tell the people your business, where they can find you at. We'll also link it in the description. But
Yeah, for some reason you're interested in working with us, Seaver Marketing Group is my business. We have a couple other software companies that you could probably find through our website. My TikTok is at Agency Nomad, which I'll hopefully start being more active on. And then I'm SMG_Ryan on Twitter.
there you go. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
Peace.